G'day, g'day, how you going? What do you know? Don't strike a light. G'day, g'day, and how you going? Just say g'day, 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 and you'll be right.
Welcome to the Midweek End Times News and Trends Briefing as we share major events and what is happening around the world as it relates to Bible prophecy. Today's date is Wednesday, August 9th, 2017. Hope you're all having a wonderful and blessed week. There's so many news items that are going on. Here's a couple interesting things that just to bring to your attention. Out of the Times of Israel reported that the Palestinians fire rockets from Gaza into southern Israel. So as the warning signs were blaring in the southern Israel Tuesday after a rocket from Gaza Strip was fired into the country, the Israeli Defense Forces said. The army said that the projectiles struck an open area of Haf Ashkelon Regional Council. No injuries were immediately reported, and the soldiers were searching in the area. While no immediate group had claimed that the Tuesday's rocket fire, Israel holds Hamas responsible for all rockets emanating from the Strip. Also, as we've continued to keep a pulse on what's developing and going on in Asia, specifically within North Korea, the tensions are heating up like never before. According to another report, that talked about how the U.S. and Japanese analysts agree that North Korea has developed nuclear missile warheads. This article out of Breitbart talks about a grim milestone appears to be passing as both U.S. and Japanese intelligence analysts believe North Korea has developed the technology to miniaturize nuclear warheads and fit them into long-range missiles years ahead of schedule. Japanese Annual Defense Review said on Tuesday morning described the threat from North Korea's nuclear program as acute. It's inconceivable that North Korea's nuclear program has already considered advanced, and is possible that North Korea has already developed or achieved the miniaturization of nuclear weapons and has acquired nuclear warheads, the white paper warned. Since last year, it has forcibly implemented 2 nuclear tests and more than 20 ballistic missile launches. The security threats has entered a new stage, and accordingly, the BBC reported that Japan has begun its first civilian air raid drill since the end of World War II, evidently stepping up the program revealed earlier this year, which taught civilians in certain towns how to deal with an inerrant North Korea missile test, which perhaps a weapon fired at American military installations in Japan, falling in a populated area. According to one of the Japanese citizen, which makes total sense, but we're told to hit the ground and hide behind a wall, but will that really help? Will that really protect us if a missile really falls here? I wonder. Anyways, the Washington Post reported on Tuesday afternoon that U.S. analysts that the Defense Intelligence Agency reached a similar conclusion about North Korea's capabilities in a confidential assessment prepared last month. The DIA reported that also raised an official estimate of North Korea's nuclear inventory considerably from the handful of bombs hypothesized by most earlier analysis to almost 60 nuclear devices. So this threat of North Korea is getting more intense each day and each passing week. It's not going to turn out good if it continues down this path. There was another report that talked about how, out of the Israeli national news, how North Korea can already hit the U.S. with a nuke. And then on another report this morning that talked about how Donald Trump warns North Korea threats to the United States will be met with fire and fury. So he warned North Korea to stop threatening the U.S. with its ongoing achievements in nuclear weaponry. Trump said that North Korea's best not make any more threats to the U.S. They will be met with fire and fury like this world has never seen. Trump also said the North Korean dictator had been very threatening, which was a behavior beyond that of a normal country. As I said, that they will be met with fire and fury and, frankly, power that likes which the world has never seen before, he repeated. On to another issue that is very concerning, and this is taking place within the U.S., so it's not necessarily on a prophetic thing, but it's a dealing with society and cultural thing. There was this out of the Daily Caller, and the Associated Press had the same type of article, that Transgender Rainbow Day Camp. So a Transgender Day Camp for kids age 4 through 12 in California is boasting triple enrollment since the founding 3 years ago. The preschoolers and elementary school kids who will attend the Rainbow Day Camp start each morning by choosing which pronoun they want to use for the day, according to the Associated Press. Campers can choose he, she, or a combination of he, she, or they, or opt to write undecided or nothing at all. Really? Nothing at all? We are either male or female. Those are the two options that were created. Anyways, San Francisco Bay Area Camp has made its mission to create gender fluid and transgender children. Founded in 2014, the camp currently is the only one to offer transgender programs of sorts to such young children. So they're endorsing and pushing and propaganding this confusion among kids. The camp has about 60 attendees, up from 20 from its first summer. A decade ago, this camp would not have existed. Eventually, I do believe it won't be so innovative, said the camp founder, Sandra Collins, who told the Associated Press. She goes on to say, I don't know, you could be a transgender at a very young age. My daughter knew for sure at 2. She said, crediting her daughter as an inspiration for starting the camp. Collins also founded the camp Kickin' It for transgender kids from 13 to 17. Kids have traveled from all over the U.S. and even as far as Africa to attend the camp. The Rainbow Day Camp hopes to open other places in Colorado in summer of 2018, including organizations have allegedly interested as well, including camps in Seattle, Louisiana, and Atlanta. It's sad, it's disheartening to see this confusion taking place when there is really no confusion, because either we are created male or female. Those are the two things. Just check our DNA. The DNA does not lie of what gender we are. So instead of lying to the people and trying to pretend, we need to tell the facts. This is what it is, and stop this confusion from happening. And then finally, this is an ongoing issue around the world, and it's been an ongoing debate here in Australia. The Australian Prime Minister says gay marriage could be a law within this year, according to the Washington Post. And so the Prime Minister said on Tuesday that Parliament could legalize gay marriage this year if the nation's voters endorse it in a rare, non-binding poll in November. So this is something that he ran, that this is not going to happen. Now he goes back on his word. Go figure, just to get votes. The Prime Minister told and said that he expected a public would support marriage equality in the so-called plebiscite, and he personally campaigned for a vote yes on this, and would be the only fourth time in Australian history, the first time in 43 years, that the government puts a legal, non-binding question to the electorate. The Conservative Liberal Party-led coalition, which narrowly re-elected in July 2016, with a promise to let voters decide whether Australia should legalize or recognize same-sex marriage through popular vote. But the Senate in November blocked it, which would cost about 170 million Australian dollars, that's 135 US dollars, and promote a divisive public debate. The Liberal Party held crisis meeting late Monday to resolve the infighting and rejected a push to allow lawmakers to decide the issue. The government on Tuesday endorsed the party decision to ask the Senate this week to consider allowing the plebiscite, which would be held November 25th. Voting would be compulsory, because that's the way it is here in Australia. It's compulsory to vote, and a failure to vote would be punishable by a fine. Though voluntarily vote would be held if the Senate again rejects the measure. If most Australians want gay marriage, the Parliament would vote on legislations before the last 2-week session of Parliament that of the year end in December 7th. The gay right activists say that enough lawmakers already back the marriage equality to make same-sex marriage legal in Australia for now. But for the first time in Australian history, both the Prime Minister and opposition backed the reform. This agenda is a very dangerous downward spiral for a nation. We've seen this for many other nations that have adopted this. It opens the floodgate to more immorality and perversion. This so-called arrangement, and you can call this arrangement same-sex union, whatever. Call it what you would like, but don't call it marriage, because marriage is only between a man and a woman. We don't change the definition of marriage because some people, it offends them, or they don't like it, or they don't meet that requirement. But marriage has always been between a male and a female, a husband and a wife. That's how it's always been. That's God's definition of marriage. And just because a society may want to change, or a court decide to change it, does not make it acceptable, nor does it get God's approval. God has not changed his mind on this as well. And these group of people who fight this thing, who push this agenda, it's a small group of people, but they're very vocal, they're very passionate, but they're very wrong, and they're imposing their sin and lifestyle of perversion onto others. We are certainly living in the last days. We're going to see this kind of agenda being promoted and pushed even more. It's only going to get more crazy and more intense as time goes on, and we see the downward spiral of depravity within society where anything goes. So we need to keep praying for the lost. We need to keep praying for those who might be struggling with this sin or confusion. We need to pray that the Lord opens their eyes, that they turn from darkness to light, from the power of Satan to God, that they may receive the forgiveness of sins, as the Bible tells us in Acts 26:18. And as Christians, we need to live out the gospel. We need to be the salt and light in the dark and hopeless places that we are in, that we're living in, and that we can treat these people with love and respect, but doesn't mean we need to affirm or condone their lifestyle. But we can treat them like any other human being. And so this will be an ongoing conversation and debate here in Australia and other parts of the world where they have, again, bypassed the will of people, and they forced it because of the court system like they have in the U.S., which is unfortunate because the will of the people did not want this, so they have to do something to push this agenda through. And then there's other countries, they did make a vote on it, and this was something that the general population did want. But it's sad when they force this upon society. It's unhealthy, and it's just going to get worse. Anyways, that's all for today. May the Lord radically and outrageously bless you.